Okay, good evening, pirates. We're live. Welcome to TFC Open Mic. This is season 3, and it's episode 27. And it's the post bounty and pre raid sort of in between bit, to be honest. There is not a great deal happening this weekend in BP, but the World Cup's on. So a lot of people have been watching Russia v Croatia at the moment. First and foremost, though, I'll say hello for those on the panel. Evening, Brian. How are you, mate?
Pretty good, just chunking through TLCs.
Yeah. Taking the right fleets into the right ones, though, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, as opposed to what you did a minute ago.
Almost did.
Hefe, how are you?
Oh, pretty good. Spending my time getting hit by cheese balls.
Cheese balls. Yeah, we'll talk about cheese balls in a moment.
Cheesy King.
Cheesy King. Yeah, Jeff, how are you, buddy?
Okay, I guess.
Oh, there's a I guess in there. We'll come to that. Okay. Rum, how are they?
Not too bad. Just watch Croatia beat Russia.
Yes, interesting. Yeah, Croatia's always the underdog, but they're actually not. They're a very good team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was
them in their home stadium. So yeah, quite good. And on the end, we got Venom with the car troubles. How you doing, buddy?
How's it going? Not too bad.
But you're back home, so that's good.
Yeah, I got home. It's all good.
Right. Well, like I said, so last week was obviously Bounty 11, that sort of stuff, which was a pretty easy sort of bounty, as we know, because there was a few issues there, which are going to be adjusted, and we'll see what those adjustments will be in Bounty 12. And then obviously we've got wait until Thursday, and then obviously we've got the raid coming, July's raid, which is Supremacy, if I'm right. Is that correct? Is it Supremacy?
Yes.
Pretty sure it is, isn't it? So, is this the third or the fourth? It seems to go on forever, the Manticore one. It seems to have been going for ages.
Third.
Is it just the third? Is that all it is?
Yeah, we still haven't got our escalation weapons.
Oh, my word.
Seems like it should be over.
So, yeah, it just seems to have dragged on all year, this thing, doesn't it? I don't know what it is. It's just...
We've had so many TLCs for this stupid Manticore that it feels like we've done the raid so many times.
Well, I've never known a fleet to have to be refitted so many times. I'm sick of refitting it, and I've actually refitted it. I mean, I said I would do no more refits after the last raid, and then obviously countermeasures got adjusted, and I've actually adjusted my fleet again.
But we've only got one fleet to build. You do know that.
And yeah, I mean, I've only got the one fleet. I've got one scatter fleet, and that's it. But I have noticed countermeasures. I mean, we can do raid part, sort of like a bit of a tangent. But I have noticed countermeasures have sort of settled down a little bit in the FM as well as in some of the TLCs. I'm getting better results than what I did last week. I don't know if anybody else is agreeing or disagreeing on that.
Oh, it's not just countermeasures. It's basically anything you can fit on a ship seems to be varying quite rapidly from day to day. There's just little things like how your weapons perform, the accuracy of the weapon, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It just changes daily.
Yeah, it's quite odd. Oh, Ren's popped in. Hello, buddy. How are you?
Good, you?
Yeah.
Hey, Ren.
Did you watch the football?
The second game, Russian-Croatia, yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's getting fewer and fewer and fewer. So, a win from Croatia there. How's your week in BP, mate? Quiet?
So far, yeah.
Yeah, like I said, it's in between, isn't it? To be honest, it's a post raid and post bounty and pre raid, and less TLCs than we had last weekend, and the weekend before that when we had obviously to worry about VXP weekend. So, talking of the TLCs, we've got two, haven't we? So, Brian's in the middle of doing one at the moment. Are you doing the Hunter one at the moment?
Yeah.
Okay, so how's that going as it stands for you?
I mean, live update, it's pretty good. It's the same as the last few runs. Even on the Mastery, my top tier hunters are doing it for a little over 2 hours, all 5 runs.
All right, well, not too bad. Oh, dear. Good. And Venom's doing the other dreaded one. Oh, he's using Skyfires as well. That's interesting. Yeah. So,
I'm not. I'm using Manticores.
Are you using Manticores? Oh, that's even crazier. Far too much damage. Right, okay. And yeah, so obviously the other TLC, which is the one that gets you parts, you've got to have the mount. It's almost like a a staging in readiness for some escalation, I believe, to be honest. Because or if you fitted, the Darkwind CIC, you haven't got enough speed up weapons to balance your fleet out. I suppose you can get some from here as well. But there are a couple of tokens in there. I noticed this one generic build token right at the end as well. Did anybody spot that in the last round?
The 12-hour?
Yeah, it's only a 12-hour, but it's nice because, you don't get the 12 hours in the FM, do you? So it's a nice one to stack away, and you can use it. It's a generic, which is nice, so you can use it on anything you like.
I built a new hull. It was 15 hours, so I used that token.
Well, there we are then. So cost-effective. Well, cost-effective doesn't you don't have to do any, too much damage in the TLC.
Right.
But anyway, yeah. You got right through it, have you, Rum? Finished the TLC, or...?
Oh, absolutely. It's really easy when you have that other boat that you won't build.
The KDs.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I'm doing quite well in it, I have to say myself. I'm using Phoenixes, believe it or not.
I killed my Phoenixes today.
Really?
Oh, no need with them.
Oh, I think you killed them off.
Yeah, I got rid of them.
All right. Well, I've had so many tokens, I might decide to make them give them a spruce up, and then they're doing all right. I mean, I've got through each round with instant fix on the map so far. So. Did
you rank yours up to R5?
Oh yes.
Yeah, I didn't bother.
Yeah, I had nothing else to rank, so I was quite content doing that, and I'm doing the Skyfires now as well. Oh, didn't you think there was a problem ranking up the Skyfires, Brian? You were saying there'd be a problem with the Berserk if.
I had wondered about the retro, but then I checked the ship stats once again, and no, that Berserk affects all the ships in the fleet, and so does the lead. So no matter what, when you Berserk, your ships are all going to go at the same speed always.
Oh, I see. Okay, so that's handy then. So you're going to continue, yeah?
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know how much longer they're going to be useful, but my retro lab isn't doing anything at the moment, so I might as well.
Did you do all the icebreakers?
I did all the Phoenixes.
I just using my retro lab has been busy doing our icebreakers to R10. I started R10 yesterday.
All right, yeah. It takes a little while, that one as well, doesn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, more than a little while, in fact. It does take a while. Yeah, I did my icebreakers. Someone on the page was just asking how people are getting on with the 111s in the FM. In fact, let's talk about FM. Yeah, and I managed to get. I did a quick check, and so I'm in the 111 for a basic build, and I've got nothing funky on it. It was 9 minutes for driving, which was making sure I went around and killed some of the buildings first to get up the damage protection, and then going around and killing off each one of the Drac UAV carriers at a time, and then that was 9 minutes damage, and then full auto sticking outside was 18 minutes. So it's definitely the countermeasures must be working better, or the damage has gone down in that, because it was horrendous a few weeks ago, wasn't it? And it seems to be better now. Is everybody else having the same sort of experience, or there's no one actually really hitting the 111s anymore?
No, not me.
The 111s are good when you're at work, or and you can just use the app and auto them, and just keep scoring some points even when you're not playing in front of the PC.
Yeah, it's a filler, isn't it? I quite like that, because I was sort of autoing with the dragons in the 112, but then also sending the icebreakers into the 111s at the same time. So it just made FM a bit quicker for me.
Yeah, you probably can see me if you want doing 111s now, just on.
Oh, is that what you're doing now? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's easy.
Yeah, I'm pleased that they. What I'm hoping that they don't do, which would be really helpful, is if as we saw Rampage report this week, they've said, he's confirmed now that obviously the Greta Dragon is going to come out in the raid, and there's also then going to be new targets as well. So for the FM, a blitz target by the sounds of it, and then I think he was saying about a 120 and a 127. Was that about right?
120, 121.
120, 121. Okay, yeah. So I'm hoping they're increased points valued and not going to reduce the points value of the other ones, because I think it's bad enough at the moment, the amount of damage you're still getting in the 117.
I really hope they don't change at all the existing targets. And just introduce the new ones, as you said. They're going to be harder, okay, and they pay more, which over time is probably going to mean inflation in the price of the prices we have in Tier 5.
Probably, yeah.
But my question is, why
But
do we
in the
need?
meantime, you can just keep killing 117s and whatever.
Why do we need the additional? Are we talking about what's going on the raid, or just additional FM targets?
This is
FM.
additional FM, yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand why we need them. We haven't even mastered the 117s yet.
No, we haven't. That's just it. No one's got a reasonable. I mean, talk about a troublesome fleet.
I think we've mastered it. I think the problem is the mastery of it still is a lot of damage.
Yeah, but that's the point. Then I mean, normally, when we've expended the use of a target, it's because actually we're basically doing it for nothing, and Kixie aren't getting any revenue out of it. But that's certainly not the case of a 117. It's not a flipping easy target anyway. Even if you are going to be using, a Cody flag and tucking it in the corner just to get a bit of pen resistance up, it's still a target that's takes a little bit of.
So what do we expect the new dragon, greatest dragon, or whatever it is? What do we expect it to do?
At least be as good as the Cody.
Tons of damage.
Yeah,
I hope so.
Otherwise, there's no point building.
If it's just as good as, there's no reason to build then, is there?
Exactly.
You know how the
As good as, it has to be significantly better.
Well, the only thing that would make it worth building would be if it could mitigate the green missile.
I don't know about the only thing. You know how the Phoenix flag had the same buffs as the Savage Cody, and then it was itself a normal ship? If the Inferno Dragon was something similar, where it just gave a generic explosive damage buff, a splash buff, and the pen resist buff that we've come to expect from the Savage Cody, depending on the exact numbers, I'd run that.
Well, it depends also, we're expecting the flag to come in, and I think the entire community is going, hey, when the flag comes in, we're going to start seeing some damage reduction, right? Because we're all kind of just like that. The FM is not what we've come to expect over the years now because of the amount of damage. And if it comes out and our damage doesn't go down, there's going to be an issue.
Yeah. I completely agree. Like I say, if it doesn't have the green missile mitigation, there's no reason to build it.
And another thing,
one option would be it doesn't, but then this 121 whatever target doesn't have the green missile, but it's just does extra damage that you can't possibly go without the flag. You know what I mean? They can be smarter about it and make it work for us. So, if I can hit a higher level target that pays more, and I do less targets and I get my FM done quicker, I wouldn't mind.
So what do we expect? I mean, it's 300,000, isn't it, for obviously the 117? So we're thinking probably 400,000 or 500,000. And is the 120 then going to look like the 112 because it's an even number, And then is it going to be mostly rockets and not so many of the executioners with the dreaded secondary, dumbfire green thing that comes out afterwards? And on top of that, is the Greta going to come out and, like the Cody, is it going to have combat screen wide boost effect, or is it going to be a field aura that's got like the rest of the dragons? You've got to be within 50.
Yeah, because the moment you stack another ship in there, it's another ship taking splash damage. So let's say there's no extra buffs, and I suppose there's going to be, but let's say there aren't. It's just another ship stacked to take damage. That's all it is.
Well, and then there's also the other thing too is, if the flag comes out, I don't know how it's going to mitigate any more damage, because I've actually been testing with the dragons to see if I can't get some of the damage down with like the green missile and all that other stuff. And I've gone and found I'm at minimum damage before I add a splash reduction, before I add any more deflection. I mean, there's a minimum damage to that missile we're not ever going to mitigate, and that's a problem. That's a big problem, because if that flag comes out, there's nothing that they have in the game that's going to mitigate that damage. So then the next question is, well, I mean, the question then is if it goes into the next target, right? Why are we going to have to build that hull? Because we can just bring the Savage in, because that can sit in the corner, right? And it won't take any more damage. I'm already running a Savage with 3. What's it going to give me that that the Savage doesn't, because there's nothing you can't mitigate anymore. So then the next question I have is, are they going to block the Savage out of the new targets? And then the additional thing is what we discussed when they first changed the FM, because they never limited the top, amount for the tier prizes, right? Are we going to see an inflation in cost as well? Because we're already seeing a ton of extra stuff every week in the FM. It's not, get 3 or 4 targets and you're done now. So
yeah, there's the content upgrade has been considerable, and they're just to get to the tokens, they're making sure that you still have to collect something from each level, and more than one thing in some items, or there's an enticement to get some replacement countermeasures which are really not that good and that sort of stuff, or there are enticements in there to encourage you to do more points, which means it's more damage. So
I had to buy a Gale 2 for 200,000 just to get the 1-day ship build token that cost 200,000, and that's rude.
Yeah, that's inflation
Gale
right
2
there.
should not
That's an eternal gate. Every week you have to get one. There's no more. Oh, I got rid of all the new prizes. I can go straight to tokens. No, every week you gotta get one of those prizes.
And
if you add up, that's an extra 1,000,000 points you gotta do.
Yeah, and it's more targets than because we always were like 3-4 targets and we're done. Then I can deal with damage, right? If it's only a couple of targets, but instead now it's a damn grind, and it's kind of getting set up like a raid every week. And I mean, instead of evening out or staying at the same level for the end game players, we're constantly climbing uphill again.
Yeah, it's not ideal. I know. I'm intrigued. There's too many questions at the moment, and we're not going to get the answers because in this particular scenario, they actually never give the answers. We've been here 2 years ago when the FM changed dramatically. We were here again last year when they changed the format of the FM, and they never told us what it was going to be. And it's in the same sort of situation. So whilst this is the go-to first half of the year go-to fleet, because bear in mind there's going to be another one later on. This is the go-to fleet for the first half of the year. We've got halfway through. We're now getting the flagship. Enjoy it for 2 or 3 months, because there'll be another hull coming along very, very soon. So is the other hull that might be coming along soon towards the end of the year, is that going to be the one that's going to be, goosing these 2 top-level targets? And even with the flagship, the Greta may do fantastically in the 117, but may be absolutely tonk in these top 2 targets. I don't know.
If we're going to get a new hull for the FM relatively soon, what's the point of even building the flagship?
Well, it may, like I said, it may mitigate the damage in the 117. I don't know.
We won't get another flag.
Spend a month to build it. Yeah, no thanks.
We won't get another fleet until the end of the year, I think, because it's supposed to be in 3 sets. So we had the hulls, and then they changed the idea from a hull every 4 months to it's going to be a hull and then a flag, and then the last thing's got to be escalation stuff. But again, I don't know what exactly we're going to do with escalation, because the way the mechanics are right now. Yeah, I mean, the way the mechanics are already now, you can't mitigate it, and we're getting new targets instead of. I don't know. I'm concerned. I'm very, very concerned about which way this is going, because it is the FM, and that's the one thing that you don't screw up in this game. And so far, they've kind of been doing that.
I think the complicating factor is, though, that countermeasures did go wonky. Wasn't acknowledged and adjusted quick enough. Then it was acknowledged, and then all our builds that we'd sort of settled on, all of a sudden they made adjustments to how countermeasures were in the way they were reacting with obviously certain weapons, and then we had to readjust again. And we're still in that mode at the moment for quite a lot of things. No one exactly really knows how their raid fleet's gonna do, because countermeasures were adjusted in between the previous raid to this raid. So it's a best guess. And I use the TLC as an example to have a little play, at countermeasuring different things using stuff that was, and then using the Manti tokens to do some slight adjustments. I've taken off sprints and I put on Phalanx 4s as an example, because I'm finding they're working better now at countering missiles, as opposed to this time last month. I was, I did a video and a couple of videos, but I only use sprints, and that's not the case. So.
No, one thing I think we have to realize is, like, going back, we kind of got used to our fleets being able to do the top target for near instant repair, and a lot of people kept tweaking to get there. there are mechanics built in all targets now to prevent that. We'll never get to that instant repair again. You know, the best you can hope is like a half an hour damage per target or so on these top level targets. I think they have built it in, so we'll never get to that point again. So there is that green missile, there is this and that you just, maybe there's over damage on the weapons. I don't know what's there behind the, you know, the code, but there are built-in mechanics to ensure a minimum amount of damage is taken no matter what you do. And I don't think that's going to change.
And for, you know, and I think that's okay to a certain extent, but there's a big difference between, let's just take the first raid of this cycle as an example. I drove 4 Scattermanties, you know, fully kitted out as one should expect, and I'm taking 3.5 hours of damage, average-ish, each run. There's a big difference between I will have the best build and drive the best or acceptable way, and I'll take half an hour or an hour or an hour and a half even, versus 3.5 hours of damage raid time, by the way. It just, I don't know why people just are so, like, I sort of get why they're damage averse, but to this extent, at some point, it's, okay, guys, shut up. That's never going to happen. If everyone did every target for free, like, how is Kix going to make money repairing in raids?
I think part of it is not that, I mean, inherently players are damage adverse, but I think part of the problem is that they're feeling nickel and dimed all the time now, because, you know, you pay on the front end, but now you have to pay the whole time too. It's not paying the front end and then, you know, kind of coasting. You pay on the front end and then you pay on the back end too. And, you know, like I've talked to Boba Fett before, and Boba Fett's, like, his line is always, if I pay for this stuff at the beginning, I expect to be able to get use out of it. I don't want to pay for it, you know, to get it out and get to play with it and then find out I still have to pay to use it as well. You know what I mean?
And I think it's a little different than what you just said, but I think that's going to be one of the big issues with the proto fleets. I'm wondering when the proto Inferno Dragon fleet, let's say, will come in and just negate all of this. And we were talking earlier about the flagship, and I'm worried about even the proto tides, because my proto tides, they're shells with weapons. They're not even ranked. I'm just getting the tokens and the TLCs. But in a month and a week, we're going to have the new skirmish hull, the tier 8 skirmish hull. And then what's going to become of prototypes?
Well, yeah, and that's, I mean, of the new targets, I mean, look at it now. I mean, there's certain hulls that don't do well in the SSRBs. And I can imagine the protos, any of the protos, won't do very well in the raids, because otherwise they've just shot themselves in the foot and no one's going to build a new hull. So I think they'll design a second target. I honestly think the protos are solely designed for SSRBs and nothing else.
Yeah. Well, and you know, the other thing too is, though, to go on what Brian was saying, we're having, you know, the Inferno, the flag for the Inferno Dragon's coming out this month. Next month we're going to get the new hull for the new raid, and then the month after that, I'm expecting to see the Proto Apollo, which, you know, we have Manticores. I mean, what's the deal?
And then the Drax side, what's it going to be? Proto what exactly?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, this is just getting.
Are they creating a subset of fleets for chores, for raids, for bounty, for base hitting?
Well, they started that with the generalist thingy for the expeditions, right? That went over how well.
Oh, exactly.
This is getting just. I think it's getting a little out of hand, because, like, I have no room in my dock.
I get that, but I mean, hang on a minute. Let's counter that for a second. Apart from the fact that the SSRB is the only place you can get the very, very top level resources, you know, by a bit, but not much, but by a bit. There's no must do. You don't have to build these fleets, the proto fleets, because at the end of the day you can go out on the sea, and
you don't have to build them yet.
You don't.
We're already seeing TLCs tuned for the proto hulls, though. That's the problem.
Yeah, my prototype.
It's bleeding into other areas of the game that it shouldn't, if it really was optional, and they haven't made it like that. That's the issue.
Which DLC is using the protos at the moment?
The new one.
The first one that came out a week after it existed, the one that we were doing with Hydras. And while
with the one that's out there now, I can't see the name because I made a target. Yeah, I use my prototype in there, and it takes damage, But hell, finish it, put it on repair, wait and
Yeah,
do the next one.
Yeah,
I
you
do that
don't-
with hunters for 2 hours. No, that is not tuned for protos. Protos do better in it, and that's great. But by no means is that tuned for protos.
No, it's
I
not a
would-
proto. I used submarines and it was fine. I didn't take hardly any damage at all.
Yeah, you can do that, but I can do it a lot faster with what I've got.
But that's the benefit
Great,
of protos.
but
No,
I did
no.
hunters and didn't
That's
know, like,
that's
the
the
whole thing
problem.
with hunters.
Oh, wait, that's the problem, Mark. It's not. That's the benefit of protos. The protos shouldn't be an option because if you go in that target and you're going to compare the proto tide to the proto hunter, the TLC should be tuned to the proto hunter because that's what we're supposed to have. That's supposed to be valid for a year. Instead, it's not tuned to the tide.
oh,
Well, I disagree. I think it's perfectly valid. I mean, I did the whole TLC with my hunters.
yeah,
I
me
think-
too.
I do
It's
submarine,
fine.
so-
But how did it compare to the tides then?
It
Right?
doesn't matter. It did.
I
It
know, I
does
haven't
because
used
that's how they
that.
tune it.
Price packs for free
That-
with my
that's like-
hunter.
But dude, you can go, well, I can do the A set with, Skyfires, but if you take the one that's tuned for it in, it does way better. And that's the problem, is the tuning has to be for what we have that we've been told was going to be valid.
It does
Once
way
it becomes
better
like-
doesn't mean it's the only option. I think are two very different things.
But that's
What you're
I'm not
saying
talking
doesn't-
about options, Ryan. I'm talking about the tuning of the target.
Yeah, because
You can't
because
change the argument.
Do you think 2 hours damage on the hunters for a mastery run, 5 targets back to back, 2 hours damage? Do you think that's unreasonable
I think
I
that's,
know,
for the
right?
prizes that you
I think
get?
it's good.
Because I don't. That's what you get with hunters.
Exactly.
yeah. And if you want to do skill, I use the subs, and I thought it was fine.
So
I-
you guys, I just want to get this clear. Hold on, I just want to be clear here. So you guys are okay with them coming out with proto stuff that's supposed to be optional, but then it's cool if they tune it for that, so long as you might take a little bit more damage on the stuff that was supposed to be good for a year. But no, it's fine. The protos can do a little bit better.
You're twisting what we're saying, mate.
No, that's
Yeah,
exactly that's what my argument is.
I think George, you just
Tuning-
want to complain
tuning
about
for the
something you
protos.
find something to complain about, but it doesn't hold water.
No,
Well,
Ren,
Ren,
listen, my argument
what we've seen
is that they're
Okay, guys,
tuning
come
the
on, sorry.
targets for the protos.
Okay.
I don't think that's the case.
Yeah, and so it's interesting because the Proto Tide was released relatively soon after the Proto Hunter finished. So, and they were built for the same style of targets. The SSRBs had not yet come into existence, but now with the SSRBs, they started building targets specifically around Proto fleets. And with that, and you can see with the Proto Scent having sonar and its gun having submerged damage versus the Buccaneer not having these features, it's a clear delineation in terms of game mechanics. So back and in these TLCs that are still going on, there's not really a delineation of mechanics. It's just a difference in scale. There's higher resists and higher deflections for the Proto Tide, so it's going to take less damage, sure. But if it were to happen on the siege side, it would be like having just the, I guess the base part targets now, the ones without sonar, without the mines, where you could use the Bucks and it would be okay. Or you could use the Hydras and it would be okay. There isn't the mechanic switch. I think what's different now is there's the new mechanics that require the use of only protos. I think that's the issue. I think that these last TLC, the skirmish TLC is tuned more to the hunters. The protos do better. The protos should do better, but you're not getting 8-9 hours of damage on your hunters when you're doing the skirmish one now. And I think that's one of the big things. We'll see how it evolves going forward, because now it's post SSRB, and I think we're expecting for different mechanics in the assault and garrison ones, but we have to see how the TLCs turn out. I think that the skirmish TLC is fine as is with hunters or fangs. You can use any one, it's fine.
But what we've seen historically is once we get, if we take a look at the FM, once enough of the player base has the Hall of Preference, the Inferno Dragons in this instance, they up the damage and they start tuning for a different thing. And what I suspect is once enough of the player base gets proto this, proto that, whatever, the TLCs will now be tuned for that hall. We haven't seen it yet because we haven't reached the critical mass of protos across the player base. But I think once we reach that point, then we're going to start seeing the TLCs tuned that way, because that's what we've seen in the past. as far as once the player base gets critical mass, then they start to tune towards that as the target, as the hull that's going to hit that target.
So I have an addition and a clarification. My fear is that was sort of expedited along with you needed the left tree to get to the unlock store. So a lot of people got the proto scent not because they wanted to, but because they had to. They literally had to. And delineation is, I wonder when they're going to do that in terms of X people own this hull, it's time to switch, or X people have built one of these hulls done, fully done, 2 of these hulls fully done, 3 of these hulls, and now we flip the switch.
I hope that's not the case. Like I said, I mean, these 2 TLCs on principle, like I say, I mean, yes, I have upgraded the Phoenixes with the new missiles, but I've done the one with the Phoenix hull and the other one with the submarines, just to make sure that the hulls can do them. I mean, yes, I could have taken in other ships, but I haven't done so on principle. But I've managed to achieve both TLCs, no problem at all. Not the fastest. I'm using the Phoenixes. I'm taking 0 damage. I'm taking absolutely minimum damage unless I make a mistake with the subs. We all know sub driving's boring. I know that, but it should be with it being the skill hull. It should be achievable, and it is achievable. I have to say. If you want to do it fast, then you move up and you go into other things, blitz type hulls, and the best blitz hull that is that type at the moment. I agree. It is the proto tide. There's no doubt about it. If you've got them built already, you are going to do better. Should they be allowed in those targets? Don't know. That overlaps with what Brian's saying there. I don't like the fact that the proto set, which I think should only be linked towards the SSRBs, which you shouldn't have to build unless you don't want to. A bit like a mega ship, I don't like them being able to be using them on the world map targets either, because I think that should be generically linked directly to the raid set hulls and nothing else. That's my view.
Well, and look at the situation we have with the Manticores too. The latest and greatest assault fleet, and they can't really do that well in the assault targets that we're seeing, except for the raid ones.
The Skyfires are still
I'm still Phoenixes. I'm still using Phoenixes for instant repair.
Don't get me on
that's mechanic switch though. That's the necessity of stun versus not. I would say more so than anything, because other than that, the damage, the resists, maybe even the speed are all superior to the Manticores. The only thing I think is the stun.
It feels like you have to have literally everything built in order to be able to do anything reasonably. Yeah, from TLCs to map targets, you build one hull and the other hull's better. You build both of them to bring out a new hull just to screw both of them over. It's a constant work of building new stuff, as well as those who only come in having to build new and old stuff to be able to do anything reasonable.
Well, heaven forbid you make a mistake in building something and then have to refit, and then you get the escalation and you have to refit.
Or it doesn't work. Auto hulls.
And we still haven't really seen a siege TLC that we can use Buckies and Hydras in.
So
I don't think you will.
You could have sort of used them in the one to get the proto tokens, the Hydras that is, not the Bucks. And that was the thing. That TLC that very much looked like it was designed for proto sense, because you took a lot of damage on Hydras and you couldn't kill the walls with Bucks. Came out a week after the proto sense were released. Come on, what do you want, guys?
That's a question that I was going to kind of think about later. Is there anything you can put on a proto scent that will take walls down quicker?
I haven't played with it yet, but I mean that's actually a really good example of TLCs being tuned for what now?
Exactly. That's my point.
I'm just saying.
The issue is, the proto tide wasn't too bad. It's not too far ahead of what the previous was. Yes, there is a bit of a jump, but it's not terrible. The proto scents, on the other hand, are just ridiculously more overpowered compared to the Bucks, where it shouldn't have been. It's almost as if
you can say they're overpowered, but they can't do the SSRB.
The proto scents?
No, they cannot do it. 4 of them will get eaten up. And I just did it. I drove one last night that I thought was exceptional. I went back in and just tried one a second ago, and they just got ate up. And that's with a Hydra in there. That's in lead and in front. You can't leave to recharge because they want to get us away from the rechargeable armor. But
Yeah,
they
what armor have
just
you got on yours, mate? Just out of interest.
what's that?
What armor have you got on yours?
That's what I'm getting ready to look. I've got the C1CR.
Yeah,
Which is the right answer.
which is the right answer. Yeah, so you've got that across the whole fleet.
Yeah, I only have 4. I didn't put the 5th one on yet. I've only got 4 on there, but I have 4 of them with 4 over the armors each. And they just basically lost half of their health along with the Hydra. It's a 6-hour, 51-minute repair to get 500,000 in base parts, which I can take my Hydras and do the old 103s for basically no damage.
Yeah, and in fact, you
So-
can do the Hydra and the SSRB for less damage than that.
Well, but that's my point. They're giving us these new hulls that are supposed to do these targets, but they can't. And is it because they want us to fit them and then get escalation and refit them?
I don't know. I mean, the Tideseeker does the Tideseeker one fine, to be honest. The Skirmisher one is no problem at all. Tideseeker does it quite easily. I have no issues with that one, to be honest. Because my proto Tides are done. And
Is having a 5th Proto Centurion the answer? I mean,
I don't know. That's just a question. Yeah, I don't know. I'm only done 3. I'm in the middle of building the 4th. I'm doing the slow time, as I said last week. I refuse to do them any faster because there are other targets and my Hydras are working perfectly fine. So I'm not in a rush, and they're fill-in ones. When I get some tokens that's available, then I may speed them up and that sort of stuff. But I just do little bits on them in between other stuff. I've got nothing else happening in my dock at the moment I'm doing. So I am actually doing a proto Centurion, the 4th one.
Dang, build me some stuff, man.
There's not many ships you need at the moment, to be honest. You know, Buccaneers, to be honest, you know, I've taken the engines off because I wanted the ballistic resistors, and I put them onto because they were only 3 hours to take off, so they didn't take very long. I did that in an afternoon, you know.
Why aren't you using the Buckies?
I don't need them, to be honest, because the Hydras are so much better. You know, I don't use. You know, it's like, you know, the last time I kept hold of the, you know, the
Hydras are better. The Hydras are better as an auto hull too.
Well, I know you've built your Hydras that way, but I prefer to drive my targets. But ultimately, I don't see the need to keep both. You know, I've only kept the subs from the previous raid, you know, and the previous one to that, you know, I kept the subs as well, the Hell Race, which I've now recycled, and you know, so it's just periodic recycling sort of stuff. And I've certainly got about 80 holes. I don't hold on to things for the sake of holding on to them. You know, I'm fortunate I held on to the Phoenixes because they've actually come very good, you know, and actually better than Skyfires in some areas. Not all, but in some areas.
It feels like the auto hulls get punished more than the skill hulls, where you build an auto hull for a specific reason to auto. So they've got this nice new app out. You know, you can click your fleets to the map and make them auto things, but the ships that you use for autoing are just getting punished so much.
They're sucking it. Yeah, they're
That's
sucking it.
a question. Yeah, that is a question I was going to wonder. I mean, do you think? I mean, here's a question then. Do you think that the hulls that used to be called Blitz, which we've retuned and renamed Auto, but the Blitz hulls, do you think they are now not allowed to do the target for instant damage simply because the app is out, and whilst it has no adverts, if you're not doing things instantly, then the only way you can do is 1 coin here, 1 coin there. And if 30,000 people are doing 1 coin each, that's a lot of coins.
Hold on. There's one issue I have there is that we didn't name it the auto hull. Kixeye came out and told us it was the
George, go back. I did some research this week on this. They never started out calling it the auto helmet. They didn't. We actually collectively, between the two of us, turned it from a blitzer into an auto hull. We collectively, between us and Kixeye, actually did it ourselves, because I went back to look at some of our old shows, including the crib and that sort of stuff, okay, and actually BV as well, and we started the terminology, and then so did GDR as well, you know, and we turned what was a blitzing capability, you know, which was Hell Race first and that sort of stuff, and then we manipulated it, and now we just use the term auto when actually it's a blitz fleet.
When the tide, that's actually not entirely accurate.
But the game is manipulated as well and adjusted to become.
But that wasn't accurate, because when the Tide Seeker came out, that was a blitz fleet. It wasn't an auto fleet. Okay, and then the next one was what came in after that? Crap, I'm trying to remember what the hell came after the. It was the one that came after that. The Kixeye actually had said it, and I don't know if it was
Cannoneers.
Ironclads?
No, the Ironclads. So the Ironclads were supposed to be the auto option, but the thing is, it wasn't.
Yeah, they did say that.
They did say that it was the auto hull.
It was the auto hull, and that's where the whole concept came, because they actually. What happened was the Hellwraith people did not like driving the things, Liam, and they wanted the option for a surface hull. After months of battling back and forth, they came out with the Tide Seeker that was only supposed to be that type of blitz surface attack. And what they found was a lot of people were using it as an auto, and they liked it.
But go back to the previous one. And go back to the previous one. We were testing.
But I don't have to. That's the one where it started, was the Ironclad.
But it didn't. But in some respects it did. But in some respects it didn't, because you can go back further than that, and you can look at Punishers.
Right. But Mark, you're saying that we came up with the whole auto hull thing. We didn't. Kixeye is the one that said it was an auto hull.
Because they used our terminology, and they also manipulated or.
Okay. But they came out with it. And then on top of it, going forward from there, they improved upon it to where they wanted the auto hull to be comparable. You had your choice. You could build one or the other. That was how it was kind of presented to us. And you had your choice, and they were supposed to be comparable. Now, the auto hull was going to take more damage, but it should be comparable to the skill hull, right? And it was going well for the most part, with some blips here and there, until the Manticore really got jacked. Now, the Buccaneer was doing fine up until we got map targets and TLCs. So it's just been recently, very, very recently, where we've had an issue with the auto hull.
Because the targets are now tuned to people wanting to auto. Because the transition between blitzing and autoing has now gone full circle. It's happened. We no longer call it blitzing hull, whereas there is a blitz target. There is a blitz target coming out for the FM next month.
But
blitzing and autoing are two different things.
But people will want to auto it, and then they'll complain that they can't.
But Mark, they market it as an auto hull. I
can't help that, mate. I'm just saying that's where it's happened over the last 2.5 years. That's the transition into where we've got to now.
Okay.
At the point,
but that still doesn't address the fact that the auto hull's not performing.
Not currently at this moment. No, it doesn't. But I'm saying that's the way it's transgressed into where we are this moment.
But if they didn't expect us to auto it, why did they come out with that app to the phone?
And that's what I'm thinking. Exactly that. I think that's a correlation between. No one's going to create something like that and then market it and then put it into the general public's hands, and then be able to do all these targets for no damage whatsoever or instant fix, because all you're going to do is just go, there's one fix, there's another one fix. They want you to do something. They want you to go, yes, I'm using the app. Oh, look, it's 1 coin. Oh, 1 coin's fine. I don't mind that. And the 111, I've just done it. I've just put it up on our page. On auto, the 111 is 19 minutes. Driving it, if I'm quite careful, I can do it for just under 10 minutes, which means I can go back and dock in. You can't dock in and then fix the holes using the app. So, it's driving you a tiny little chip,
right. But the whole discussion, though, the whole discussion came about with Venom saying, it feels like the auto hulls are being bitch slapped, and they are, and that's an issue. I mean, if we don't give them feedback that there's something wrong, they're just going to go, oh, hey, look, everyone's okay with this. Oh, hey, they're okay if they take this or that, or if we do this.
So what is it?
Continue doing it.
So what is it you want the auto hull to do? To take the same amount of damage?
No. I don't want to take the same amount. But if the skill hull's doing, like, say they do a target for 20 minutes, I don't want the auto hull to go in and do it for 4 hours of damage. 40 minutes of damage? Maybe. I mean, it depends on how much. If the skill hull is taking an hour, I don't want it taken 4 hours. Like, it depends on what the ranges are. If they're doing 20 minutes, then 40 minutes is fine on the auto hull. If they're doing it for an hour of damage, then an hour and a half on the auto hull.
Well,
it should be comparable.
The auto build, because it's a single hull.
It needs to come
the
down
auto
to
option.
It comes down to the fact that the auto hull does worse on auto than the skill hull does on auto. That's the issue. And in some of the targets we've got, especially SSRBs,
103
the
map
auto
targets.
can't do it.
The 103 map target is like, I mean, that's just the prime example right there of what the issue is. My Hydra should not be auto on that thing for better than what the Buccaneer does.
I autoed that earlier today. I'm slowly chipping mine through to your build with the tokens from the TLCs. My Hydra's autoed it yesterday better than my Bucks did driving.
Yeah, it's a fun build.
Like,
it's not wholly mine.
Waiting for controllers and everything.
Yeah, it's a really great build. It's not wholly mine. I stole from Vengeful and Templar a little bit here and there, and I tweaked it as the raid kind of changed that last one where we needed to change the CICs on it. But it's definitely fun, and it definitely helps a lot when you're trying to run through some of these. And it works. A pair of those will actually go through the SSIBs pretty well too, on auto, and you don't have to worry about lag. You don't have to worry about. I mean, that's the other catch with the auto hull is part of the reason that we have them is stemmed from people not being able to play with the skill hulls because of the lag. I mean, the game has gotten to the point where you don't have that option sometimes.
Hi.
So, yeah. How you doing, Brian?
I have satellite internet. I am salty about everything all the time, ever. And yeah, it's weird. It kind of does feel like my skill as a gamer, I should be good enough to beat an 8-year-old Flash gamer or whatever. Like, I could do the Hell Wraiths perfectly. I could do all sorts of stuff really well. But now, like, ever since they did that thing where they make it part of your GPU, and again, 1-year-old gaming laptop, my GPU is amazing. I've been playing a lot worse, and it feels like because of the connection, I'm a second-class citizen in the game. Not because I don't spend coin. No. I've adjusted for that in my thinking. It's just 10, 15, 20-second lag spikes. Well, then you better give me an auto hold that works.
Yeah, I don't know that they've actually put in the.
It's not happened yet.
The GP, yeah, it hasn't, right? They haven't started using the GPU.
No, not yet.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay, good.
Get this, guys. While you guys were talking about that, I just went out and did another SSRB with the same Hydra and the same Proto-Synths, but I added that extra piece of armor. I took exactly the same damage on the Proto-Centurions. I didn't make any change to my Hydras, and I barely took any damage at all. So go figure that.
Wait, you put an armor on your Scents?
I put another piece of that C1CR. So now I have 5 across all 4. 5 each on all 4.
On the Scents.
And it took the same damage. It's on the screen.
Interesting.
The only thing that's different is the Hydra, and it's basically nothing.
So there's a pass-through? Because that's the only way that makes sense. If there's a minimum pass-through amount because you're increasing your resistance.
I just spent $20 putting armor on these 4 boats. Okay? And you're going to tell me I'm going to take the same damage after doing that?
Well, I'm not justifying it. I'm just saying what the mechanic must be.
It's got to be the pass-through, hasn't it?
1 hour and 42 minutes difference in time, and that's all on the Blood Hydra.
I wouldn't just rely on the armor, just by adding armor, because the pass-through stats are different. You're going to get different, using 2 siege hulls, but if you strip them right back to nothing and then just look at the blank stats for each hull, you'll see different pass-through rates.
No, you won't. Not on PvE.
No, you won't. These are PvE stuff.
Yeah, PvE.
Yeah.
We don't see these numbers.
But you should get deflection, because you can get specials you can put on different. I mean, we're supposed to be getting. Well, we have.
This is PvE.
You know what? I'm glad you actually brought that up because I forgot to say that from testing that little green booger missile. By the way, the minimum / over damage / whatever the hell you want to call it.
Yeah, you want to have a call it. Maybe
missile,
pass-through, but there's definitely stuff there.
It's 142.3 per missile. FYI.
It's definitely there. There is, and I think it's the same in the SSRBs. I think there is a damage that you can't mitigate. I don't know what it is. I haven't looked.
A minimum.
Yeah.
Well, but they've changed it. It's not a booger missile in these targets. What it is you can't get through the walls, and there's different places to shoot the walls to get through. That it takes longer to get through, so you take more damage from the actual weapon.
I know which weapon it is, and let me just pull up a video of mine. And I won't show it, but I just want to recap on something. There is one of the weapons in the SSRB siege side, which you can't mitigate against. You can't stop because it outranges you, and it always gives you damage, whereas the other ones don't.
Are we thinking that plasma damage is back, or is it just like a mechanic of the damage that we're seeing?
What is the secondary missile that's from the Exocet, the little green booger, as we call it? That is a definite. You can't counter it, and it's definitely giving you damage no matter what. So,
Yeah.
So
but I think the problem with that though is that there's a minimum damage, because I've tried resistances, I've tried deflection, I've tried splash mitigation. I mean, I've tried all sorts. I've tried everything on one hull.
I mean, the only thing you can do is go and have a quick look, and then try and watch your pen armor, and as the green booger lands, and see if it's chipping away at your pen.
Charged armor. Yeah, I didn't even do that.
That would do it. And if it's not the charge that's going down, then it's definitely not, it's definitely not going to be, pen damage. It's going to be something else. That's the only way.
So what if?
Oh, you're bringing up plasma damage. Look at that.
Yeah, that's an old one. So what if this Inferno Dragon flag has -52 opponents over damage, just hidden? Because that's the level of ridiculous we're having to get here to make this thing good. Every shot, its over damage is reduced by 50.
Possibly, yeah. I don't know, mate. I mean, they've got to do something with the flagship because it's only out in like 2.5 weeks.
That would be neat, though, wouldn't it?
And it'd be but then that would be the end of the Savage, which is
I think they kind of want.
And that's a 2-year-old, 2.5-year-old. When did the Savage come out?
I don't know, man.
3 years ago.
It's older than 2.5. It came out with the Kodiaks, which was.
God, yeah. I mean. It's probably nearly 4 years old or something like that. I've had it for a long time. There's so many people that have joined the game since that don't have it because it's never been re-released, in the last 48 months anyway, that actually they could probably quite glad that there's a Greta coming out, a flagship, because they can't get the Kodiak.
Well, it was in one of the raids, I think, right?
Yeah, it was in a recent raid I think it was the Textor raid from the last Textor raid.
But unless you had spare points, you wouldn't bother with it because you'd be like, "What do I want that old banger for?"
Well, I don't know.
It was cheap. It was like 4 million. It's the build time.
People using it for the FM. That's what I was going to say. Is the build time so high? I wonder if, like, now that we're talking about the Dragon or the Greta, and we were speculating earlier if they block it out of the new targets. Well, crap! All those people that got it in the last raid or whatever it was, and spent the build time. Ooh, ouch! It's still 117s.
It's long. It is long.
Yeah, but people bought the Saga's Punisher. I mean, I could see them blocking it out in some way. I mean, not explicitly, but me and George, we talked about how to get rid of both the Zellos and a long time.
I mean, I can come up with ways to exclude anything. I mean, it's just. I'm not the developer, so
it's not hard. There's plenty of ways to exclude hulls. The point is,
it's even simpler than that. They just ban that assault tier level.
Exactly. To get rid of the Cody out of a target in the FM is dead simple. They'll just, as you go and look at a target, you right click on it. It tells you what level of fleet's allowed in to go and hit the darn thing. All they got to do is pick that level out.
What I really think is interesting is, we've got hull classes now, but all those map targets. They'll let you bring in all the hull classes, not just Siege and Generalist or Garrison and Generalist or whatever. You can bring in anything. So I think it's cute, and by cute I mean, dumb, that they'll ban things, that they feel are too powerful, but they won't ban for the benefit of, I broke this, I have a 10-hour repair now. Which was back in the old days, before hull classes, that wouldn't necessarily happen. Because you just take the newest hull in and hope and pray or something. And now that it's all refined, there's, we'll let anything in anyway. And if you do it, well, you're an idiot.
So that new librarian's assistant, she's cute. Is that a compliment or what is that?
What? You what?
You heard me, Brian, didn't you? I said, if there's a new librarian's assistant that shows up at work, and you're like, "Oh, she's cute." Is that a compliment or is it not? Never mind. I think you forgot what you said.
I'm not rewarding whatever you just attempted.
Okay.
It's dead easy to do. It really is. I was just literally, I've gone onto the world map now. Let me just maximize. Yeah, right. I mean, people don't even probably look at these things, but
I actually, guys, have to bounce. You guys have a good night. Everyone, have a good night. Enjoy.
Later, Torch.
okie dokie. Yeah, I mean, there's the
Later.
one. There's the 111 target there, and when you click on it and the info at the top of it, it tells you which ships are available, and you can go in it, and it even tells you which tiers. So at the moment, you can actually. Christ knows why you would, but you can go in with the assaults and garrison, that stuff. But as you can see, look, generalist, but there are certain things you can and certain things you can't. All they've got to do is take that down to a certain tier,
Yeah, but
or
people
take
aren't going to like that.
and just cross out a certain, and all of a sudden you can't take in skirmish, or you can't take in siege, garrison. It's a garrison target.
Or you
But they
could
could cross out
assault.
assault. They could cross out assault altogether and go, it's blocked. That's it.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
people aren't
or-
going to like that, as opposed to finding a smart way within the rules to exclude something. That's all I'm saying. It's of
Well,
course
but-
they can say you can't bring in this.
The whole
Well,
the whole
players don't
point
like
of whole
that.
classes was, well, there were 2 points really. One of them was to make things easier for players to figure out what to build and take into specific targets, and the other was for designers to be able to build and plan targets effectively around what we'd be bringing in. Sometimes I feel like the latter hasn't necessarily happened, but the former, this shoots that whole thing in the foot, because it says you can bring in anything you want.
But click
I mean,
the
it's
info
only for
button.
garrison, although
Yeah,
you could
once-
read the phrase research garrison and
You
hopefully
can't-
figure it out. But still,
Click the info button, TSM.
But you can't bring in anything you want, because you can't bring in the dragons because it's tier 7, and in the garrison it only goes up to 6. So you
yeah,
can't-
that's one of the things they could do. Oh, people don't click the info button. I love the info button to death, but people can't be bothered to read.
Yeah, but it gives it the strengths and weaknesses, and then you can figure out what class you're supposed to bring in.
Well, the
Yeah,
fact that there's
I mean,
research garrisons-
you live in a glorious world where people read things, but I don't think so.
I mean, it's giving you lots of hints. Garrison, you just have got to put the mouse over it sometimes. I mean, you're
It's
right.
literally
People don't
called
look.
research garrison.
Yeah.
You don't even need to click on the info button for that. But
But it's the
what
same.
is-
These things. Yeah, but they've all got them. Tells you what you can put in them. And then the info buttons all got them. If you go over the top of it, tells you what type it is. What. I mean, they're all there. But I'm just saying, the way they can mitigate the code is quite easy. If the new targets come out and it's a 120 and they don't want it, they'll just lock it to tier 7 and above, and that's it. Kodiak, see you later. You're gone.
Yeah,
And they do
it's
that
what
with
I'm
the
saying.
raids, don't they? That's in the raids, right? Because the old S targets, like I guess now the 100s, 102s, I think they're supposed to be on the map, but we're getting new tower targets.
It's a bit.
Where are the 104s and 106s? I don't remember, but the old ones are going out on the map, and when they're going out, they're going to have tier 7 assault is the only thing you can play with.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. You're right, because as it stands in the raid, it's locked out, isn't it? I'm just trying to look at some of the other targets that's on there, the newer ones. So it's titanium at the moment, isn't it? No, it's not titanium, is it? It's.
I should have read the raid. I should have read the There was an update that mentioned this going forward for the next raid, but I skimmed through it and then I forgot about it.
Yeah, it's the base parts, Legion Colony, isn't it? It's out at the moment. So.
What? I meant for the Supremacy Raid, but okay.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of targets that have just changed on the world map. So it's the Legion ones, isn't it? And they're still saying, because I'm looking at the 103 at the moment, and that's saying 0 to 7 all the way across the board, all damage, and including the 99, which is obviously the subs. So, or maybe they adjust what can and can't go in, as and when they bring them onto the map and out of the raid. I don't know.
I don't think they. Well, because these are new targets, right? Well, some of them are. The 103 I know is new. I've never seen that before.
What the heck is Venom doing there?
I don't know. Is he trying to out psych us by bringing whatever the heck Corvettes are into whatever type of target?
Fight.
Reminiscing of the past,
Do you remember those days?
Trying to play fair.
Building BBs and trying to go out and Predator subs. Actually, I saw somebody with some Predator subs today. I nearly laughed my head off.
I remember once I was helping someone make a light cruiser build that would be instant repair in the dock with monoliths behind it. So you would just run up and have the light cruiser get into weapons range for a split second and then die but the mortars from the monoliths would kill a platform, and then you would just instant repair on the map and then go around and do that for every turret platform. It didn't work, which is sad, but that would have been cool.
Yeah, I think you're right. Anyway, look, time's going on, and we sort of we've hit the hour. So let's go across the board and let's see what else we want to say. Actually, before we do, there were some releases that came out late. So is everybody aware that obviously there's two teams now? There's a development team. Well, in fact, they've got a little area in Canada as well. There's a development team for Kixeye down in Australia as well. So when they obviously go offline and it's Sunday, like, you know, in States, obviously it's already a day ahead and that sort of stuff in Oz. So they've done a lot of adjustments already to the some of the bug fixes and tuning. Did everybody catch those?
The Australian team is the team that tells you something is fixed when it isn't. Every time they have said, "Oh, the Australian team has fixed this," no, it haven't.
Well, I just thought it'd be interesting because it's bug fixes and tuning last night. So overnight, basically, these bug fixes and tuning are said to be fixed. So it said here, corrected a problem that would allow Tier 7 turrets to stack their bonuses beyond a cap of 8. That has been fixed. There's no doubt about it.
The time, I think it was yesterday, the time they said, or the time Rampage said that it was fixed, I had still got people saying, "Oh, I'm getting killed by this turret still." And that was an hour after he had posted it. About 2 or 3 hours after he posted it, it was fine, but an hour after it was still ongoing.
I don't know if you have to refresh and, you know, that sort of stuff, or have a battle, you know, because sometimes things on the world map as well, you go to hit a target and they go, "Oh, it's all fixed," and they go, "No, it's not," and you got to wait till all the targets refresh, because they said they corrected a problem where, as we knew, put your trap up and that sort of stuff, and any ships in behind the trap wouldn't fire at an attacking fleet coming in. That's said to be fixed now. But then I still believe that the wardens aren't retargeting. Is that right?
I haven't seen the bug occur lately. A few days ago, yes. I got a ticket there today answered saying that they were still looking into it. So it may still be there on occasions, but it doesn't happen every time.
Yeah, it's odd. But I definitely, and I've been hit a couple of times as well. And the warden I've got in there, which should be retargeting, isn't retargeting. So I'm not quite sure why that's the case, because I would have thought it's behind the trap, but obviously it's not doing what I thought it should be doing, unless I'm reading the blueprint incorrectly. And then corrected a problem where ships controlled by the player would not travel closer than the remote targeting range. Oh, so this is on autoing, isn't it? So corrected a problem where ships not controlled by a player would not travel closer than the remote targeting range. That's pretty annoying, isn't it?
That's pretty handy for Sloss and Blade.
Yeah, I was going to say, it is pretty handy for... Well, yeah, that is very handy, isn't it? But what other ships are there that retarget that you would just let auto? What is there?
Well, there isn't really. You wouldn't be autoing with your monos.
No, I said remote targeting range. I saw it. The guy posted on the page the other day that he showed it in a 111 where he was using the Zelos monos fleet and he was autoing it, and his monos would target something.
Hanging back, yeah.
And it was right in remote range.
That'd be handy though. That's better for autoing.
Well, in some respects, yeah. In some respects, no, because obviously some of the missiles can fire over the top of your Zealots and then hit the monos in behind.
Well, and the Zelos were moving along, and the monos stayed back and didn't kill anything.
That's not very helpful.
It was targeting some of the torp tower or something there in the corner.
Now, interesting. One thing that I don't like is they say they've updated the R&D requirements. Now, people that are still doing R&D really don't have the top level tech, you know. So they've updated the R&D requirements to say that obviously where it was the dub, it now says SSRB, so subsector resource bases. But the problem is you're going to have to get someone to give you a hand to go in there if you haven't got the right ships, because there's no way you're going to be able to go in there if you're quite low down. And some of these are, you know, quite low down the level of R&D, where you're required to do what was an old dub. So I'm not sure that I think they should have picked a different target or something else. I don't think you should.
And what about the ones where you had to do like 2 of the old DRAC bases? Do you still have to do SSRBs for those too?
Yeah, you do. That's just it. They've changed everything that said DRAC bases and dubs is now SSRBs.
So they've made something that's designed for lower players
Hard as hell.
next to impossible for them.
I mean, basically,
No
you need
reason
someone to
why
go
is
with
it-
Well, I can't even hit the SSRB alone yet.
Yeah, so like it's another step in making this game terrible for newbies.
because that is hard. Because obviously, if you don't get it done in the one hit, then it resets anyway. It's not as if you can go in and prep it for them, then just go, there you go. There's one thing left. It's got to be someone that knows they can clear it easy and go. Oh, by the way, you go in first. I'll come in a second, but I'll do all the clearing, and I'll just leave you a building. But for God's sake, make sure you hit it and kill it within 5 minutes. Otherwise,
It sounds to me like they just it was a knee jerk. Oh well, let's switch it to this, and they didn't think about the consequences of it.
That's of all the
They
updates.
didn't think about it at all. There's no
That
way.
sounds like a lot of things in this game.
I'm going to challenge that one particularly because I think that's a huge. I'm actually I'll contact them Monday.
And
that one.
I think if they want to make that, like, if they still want to keep hitting a target for that, I think they should make pretty much any hit a target. They need to make that one of the research garrisons for the FM, because then it will kind of show the players through that they have to get better at the FM. Like hit a level 40, and then later on it's hit a level 67 or whatever. Hit a level 80, hit a 111 maybe is the last one, so that there's a clear goal for I need to get better, and this is a good, just
but then your R&D shuts down when FM's not running, like during raids and.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
As opposed to the people that can hit SSRBs. I mean,
Well,
I'm okay.
but there's
okay
no
with-
SSRBs during raids.
Well, not even that. The SSRBs are way harder. Like, I'm completely okay with just eliminating any hit a target requirements, like just haul in some res or whatever, and have those be it, because I feel like the stuff is being tuned for R&D 30 now. The build times, the repair times, all of that is being tuned.
I totally agree. I think that's been done for some time.
Mm-hmm.
And they need to make that simpler. I think they need to reduce the time that new players spend actually in the research process as well, because some of those were like 14 days or whatever, and that's too long. That needs to be cut, and those requirements need to be easier. And while I'm on about this sort of thing, put your holes in the foundry. There should be no reason that the Phoenix and Skyfire aren't in the foundry. Heck, I'm even okay with the Buccaneer and the Hydra being in the foundry now, although don't do the Buccaneer, it's a trap. Put the Hydra in it's in a TLC, I guess, so maybe another season of that. But at the start of the skirmish season, put the Hydra in the foundry.
Yeah.
Who cares? Cut the build time on the Hydra and its bits significantly. Have it. Who cares? We've had months of use out of our Hydras. They're great. We shall not speak of the Buccaneers. There should be like midichlorians. Let us never speak of them again.
They're like cannoneers, as far as I'm concerned.
Just
And also cut
Slightly better than Man of War.
I still like my Buckies. Jeez.
I'm sorry. I like my Buccaneers too, and then I tried to do stuff with them, and they just did worse than Hydras.
And I would cut the build time on the Bobs as well when you're doing the bits, just in case.
No, you need the bits and the bobs.
While you were talking about the foundry's only good if it works. If you look at my screen,
Does it not?
Well, if you look at my screen.
Oh no. Maybe that's why they haven't put stuff in the foundry. They got to figure out how to fix it.
Yeah.
Wait, do you have an intelligence lab in your base?
I hope so.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Just in case you didn't go crazy on a scrapping rampage or whatever.
No, not yet.
Oh yeah, and cut down the costs to research the hulls as well, because I think those are significant. But I don't know, because I guess I can't get in the foundry now. Make it easy for new players. I know they said they wanted to fix the game first, but guys, that's not going to happen. You can't fix it. We've been shown a track record over this first 6 months in PvP in general, and then in PvE in the last couple of months,
let's
You
be
can't-
absolutely
you can't
honest.
just-
Let's be honest. Okay, we're having the same discussions we had 5 years ago, 6 years ago. You know, I did specifically look through a lot of shows today, because I was talking about the blitzing holes and the capabilities. We've just changed the name of the ships. We haven't changed the content a great deal.
What's the
Well,
definition?
well, you said
what's the
We
definition
just
of
put a 2 on
insanity?
the end of everything, and it's good, right?
What's the definition of insanity?
Yeah, exactly. It's just, we are
But
going.
they're
around-
doing things different because the damage keeps going up.
They're
Well-
doing things different. We expect them to do things different. They don't.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't expect them to do things different. I
Yeah.
hope, but I also have, reality and evidence.
Well, I can open my Foundry. I don't know what your problem is.
I'm
Yeah.
broken.
But TSM, you talked 5 or 6 years ago. At that point in time, there was not hall classes and things of that nature.
Oh,
that
absolutely agree.
prevented-
No, I absolutely agree with you, mate. But I literally, I was going back and looking in the forums as well about people complaining about the HHBs, and then people complaining about Drac carriers was an epic one. But you remember the Drac carrier used to go around and chain round and then kill everybody's base? I was
wait, isn't that properly pronounced Drake carrier?
yeah, probably.
No,
He
No,
did stop. He
absolutely
did
not.
stop.
Shoot him.
Probably just to appease you.
But it was funny because I was like, there was like about 16 pages full of ranting about that, and I was like, yeah, I can sort of remember that about the rages as well and that sort of stuff. So it's a case of recycle. We're going round in circles, which I think's funny. You just change the name of the ship.
Oh, people made a fuss
Remember
about
when
the what was that first one that came out? The first.
Which one? The Dreadnought?
No, the one right after the split, or just right before the split.
Revenge?
PvP. Revenge, yeah.
The very first PvP hull was the Revenge with deflections on it.
Yeah. People were crying about those too.
Well, that's because they hadn't rightfully tuned for them yet, I think. That was the thing. Oh man, you brought back a lot of great memories with that
It is funny.
UAV bomber. Man.
If
I remember when they split
Yeah.
the salvo into 2 because it wasn't working. It would zip to the target and not
Yep.
blow anything up. So they changed it into 2, and they kept trying to do math, saying, "Oh, with the deflection, it works out fine." Blah 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 blah. And it just didn't.
It's funny. Like I said, I was doing a bit of research today, so I went back over some of the old stuff in the forums in the archive, and I was finding myself laughing. And I was like, hang on a minute, we haven't actually progressed a great deal. It's just the same things with new names. It's slightly different arguments, but conceptually, it's like rah about this, and then oh yeah, that's being fixed, and then the next one's a rah. It just made me laugh. It really did.
My favorite one is when people always say, "Oh, they're just trying to get as much money out of it as they can before they close the door." I saw people saying that 5 years ago.
Yeah. They are trying to get as much money out of people as they can. It's a profit ratio, isn't it? It's how much you can put up with versus how much income they can make. Of course it is. It's a profitable company.
The game will be
Yeah,
dead
still
in 6
business.
months.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, we've heard that many times. I have to say though, there's not anywhere near as many people playing as there used to be. But I don't know. I don't know. Anyway.
If they were as bad as everyone said they were, they'd be out of business. But we're still playing this game. They're still making things for this game. If it was really that bad, Battle Pirates to be gone. So they're doing something right?
Must be.
What
Must
they're
be.
doing is they're holding on to stubborn players.
Feeding the beast, as I call it.
Yes.
Feeding the beast. Well, you've only got to look on that other page, which I look on regularly and laugh my head off at. There are some people on there, they're either the biggest jokesters in the world or they've got some real anger issues because some of the stuff's on the page is just hysterical. And I'm like that. Are there really people like that in the world? There clearly must be, because the PMs they send each other is just wow. It's just if you
It's
talk
so
to people in real
strange.
life like that, you'd be locked up. It's just hysterically funny.
And these are people using their real names sometimes.
Yeah.
That's what gets me. Like anonymity on an internet forum, you can be a jerk all the heck you want and you'll get banned, and it won't matter because nobody knows it's you. And then you go to the next forum and you troll that until you get banned. But your real name, your real picture, your real location. I mean, some of these are not so. They're alt accounts on Facebook or whatever. But it's like,
But
why
some
would you
aren't.
do that with your real identity?
Yeah, some aren't. Some are like idyllic people with like lovely pictures of families and children, that sort of stuff. And then what they're saying about what they do to other people's families and children and things, I'm like, Yeah, okay then. It's just, yeah.
I'm just so surprised that Venom's parents gave him that first name.
What's
He's been
first name?
called many names.
I get called a lot of things. I don't mind. That doesn't bother me.
Oh dear.
Just on a side note, Robin,
Yeah,
that last space you hit,
I'm
did
just
your missile cruiser just melt?
pretty much. I told you it did.
That's my missile cruiser, correct?
Yes.
Mark, the answer to the question earlier is no. The
It's
turrets
still
don't
happening.
seem to be fixed. That was just a prime example of it not being fixed.
Okay.
My missile cruiser doesn't do that, and his just
Send in a
melted.
video. Send in a video. Just cut
But it's live here.
You know what, Mark? Pardon my French, but screw Kixeye. I'm tired of messing with them.
But you
They
can
don't
just
do
click,
shit.
You can click the forum piece, mate, and you can put a video in of that there, and just go.
They-
You give them a
do it.
timestamp of this video.
I'm not going to give them anything. I'm done with them.
You're still here, mate. You're not that done.
See you next week.
I'll see you next week's show.
It's just it's stupid.
It is, but if it wasn't for Warrior Comms, I don't think the show would be here. I don't think the game would be here. Warrior Comms is what keeps this thing alive. It's got nothing to do with building ships. It's all about Warrior Comms. It's
Warrior comms is fine when things are working, but when people proclaim their happiness about a bug happening in their base, no.
yeah, but they still think it's good because
Yeah.
they got one over on somebody.
And when there's something going on in Bounty that you don't have to hit anything in a freaking battle game.
Do you know the worst thing about this game? The worst thing about this game is if the person that's the attacker and the person that's the enemy both turn and went, "Oh yeah, that was really crap," and both of them agreed, that'd be it. The game would stop. That would be it. It'd be done.
I have had a couple of those.
He's just breaking out all over the place.
It's not going to happen.
I have honestly had a couple of those recently where people just went, "What just happened?" And I've just had to tell them, "Look, I'll give you the video for that. That should never happen." Like two perfectly identical ships, perfectly identical. One dies instantly, just completely melts in seconds. The other takes no damage. Perfectly identical. Nothing different between them.
Anyway, change the subject. Apparently Venom's adopted, according to chat.
I am.
Well, I think that was a reaction to me.
You're adopted, and your name is Venom is one of your parents.
For naming him. Never mind.
What are you saying?
Are you like the son of Voldemort? Do we have to talk or?
No, hang on, Efe, what were you saying? Sorry.
I'm pretty sure that was Ford's reaction to my comment about how cruel Venom's parents were for giving him that first name.
Oh, right, got you.
I'm pretty sure the timing worked out pretty well
David,
for that.
second base melted again.
We
You
should
should start
just follow.
building-
Just put the next one up on the screen so we can just watch it die.
No,
No, he's had enough. Let the man go. He's already earned, someone a couple of
Oh, lost him.
and that sort of stuff in Kickstarter.
We're losing you, Mark.
Oh, not just me. Okay.
Yeah, it's not just you. I think we've lost Mark.
I mean, thankfully we're about to the end of the show anyway.
The Kickside hit squad must have gotten to his house.
I know exactly how Rum feels though, because I've had the same battle with Kixeye in support for about a week now on the guard issues, and it's every time they've come back, it's like, "Oh, we fixed it on this date," and it's like send another email back with another paragraph and video showing it. No, you've still not fixed this issue.
you
They'll
can
come
give them
back
a
and say,
fresh roll of
we'll
toilet
fix it
paper
this
and they
time.
can't clean it.
Like, it's beyond buying them a calculator at this point. I think it just
I think
Yeah,
I'll
there's the GoFundMe page for that, but yeah. You guys find it. We can't post it on any of these YouTube shows.
Right, Hefe, anyone want to close on anything?
No, I just I think we covered a lot of stuff. I'm just really disappointed with the target design associated with Rapid Assault. I think it was put in there with all the cheese balls and the cold snaps to keep out the Katies, but there was easier ways to do that, not by just eliminating from it but there was easier and more artful ways to eliminate from the target, because I'm growing quite frustrated with trying to use the hulls we're supposed to be using in this, and then 2.5, 3 hours of damage just based on random nonsense. I'm very disappointed with that. I mean, it's a real step down, in my opinion, as far as target design, as far as the rapid assaults. So,
yeah, I can understand that, and I think the naming policy for the targets is incorrect. I think I don't know who's doing that at the moment. To say Manticores is going to go into this one and do well is a bit fictitious. I do know the fact that I've acknowledged the fact that the cold snap shouldn't be in there, but it's too late to do any adjustments. I do know that much. And when the reiteration comes back again, they sort of hinted that they won't be. They'll remove them. Let's see if that happens. We won't know for a month, but that's what they've said.
It can't be an accident. I mean, they put in all these cold snaps, and then they put in on some of those targets. What is it, 10 or 12 buildings that throws off the cheese balls?
Yeah, I mean, it's
not like somebody snuck in late at night and did all this stuff.
No, I mean, that's fine. Don't forget last month they had the iteration with the cold snaps in and they turned it off straight away. So I think they've gone back to iteration 1. They've just built on that because it's just the way it is sometimes. It's not right, but that's the way it is. But the cheese ball thing, you can mitigate that. I mean, I said to Brian before I was on the show tonight, I was actually using my Phoenixes and running around chasing the cheese balls before they come down and actually manage to knock as many out of the sky as possible. And I'm going to do a video tomorrow because I found a build now that actually you can nearly knock them all out of the sky.
But you had to specialize pretty hard to do that. That's at the cost of damage, and that's at weapon slots that are useless in pretty much any other target.
Yeah, very much so. It's an athlete specifically designed for this thing, but I had the tokens, so I did it anyway.
So what you're saying is, for the Manticore to actually do what it's supposed to do in that target, you need to refit it specifically just for that target, then refit it back for the raid, and then
I honestly
again when the new TLC comes out after the raid.
But I don't think that's a Manticore target. I think they named it wrong. I think it's to gain. Yes, you got to have the Manticore, but it's not a Manticore target to me. That is still an old Skyfire and still a Phoenix target.
Yes, but which raises the problem of why are they designing a target for ships that are older when they're supposed to be for the new ship?
But what they're saying is you need to have the Manticore, but there's items in there that you can get Manticore build tokens. That's what. There's still people that haven't finished the Manticores yet. I've got people in my alliance that still only got 1 or 2 ships.
I'm going to double check because I think what Venom is talking about is the description for the TLC in the game.
Yeah, correct. It says Manticores, and it shouldn't. That's my point. It shouldn't.
Yeah.
It should bring in your assault ships to gain blah Manticore tokens and all this sort of stuff. That's what it should say. Bringing assault ships. Don't say bringing about. I mean, I know they do say best ship for this, and they've been saying that a long time. I disagree.
It's not where they say best ship for this. We can deal with that. It's where they say a Manticore fleet will perform exceptionally well.
Yeah.
Oh, they did it twice.
That's a deliberate.
Yeah, no, it is, and it's
sentence.
incorrect. It's not factual. I totally agree with you. It isn't factual as well because I've just done. I'm on stage 3 now, and I'm instant fixing on the sea every time with my Phoenixes, and I'm not getting a single cheese ball hitting me, and I'm not taking any cold snap damage because I'm outranging them. I can outrun the drones, no problem at all, so they don't take a single shot at me and that sort of stuff. I'm having no issues whatsoever, and I'm just driving around picking off all the turrets. I can outrun even the launcher thing that does the fire pools. I can outrun that, and it all drops behind my ship. So, with kiting, an old school way of doing things, I'm doing fine. The last thing I do is I kill off all the big turrets at the end.
My last thing with this campaign, which is also a big bug of mine, why, if this is a target designed for assault ships with items that are designed for the assault hulls, why have they randomly stuck in reinforced ablative armor with explosive defense in an assault TLC designed for assault ships, with the outcome being your assault hulls are going to be better?
Yeah, that's a random. That is a random. I don't get that one.
Why is that there?
I cannot imagine why that is there because it has no correlation to the winning prize or the ships going in to do the TLC. It's a real.
It's for the cheese balls.
Yeah.
It's not for the cheese balls. That shouldn't be the reason. Put it that way.
And then there was a guy on the page the other day arguing that or on forums arguing that was justification for the cold snaps being in there because it's explosive.
No.
Why would you read the forums? That's below the pin post. Reading the forums is generally a mistake.
Right. Okay. That'll do for that. Jeff, have you got anything you want to close on?
Nah,
you're good. you do it on the page, mate. Anyway. Ron, what about you, mate? Anything extra that we haven't covered?
No. Kicksai sucks.
All right. Kicksai is Kicksai. Whether it sucks or not, you're still playing, so you must love them a little bit.
No. I like my friends.
Yeah. Well, there you go. The best invention in BP is comms.
The best invention is friends.
Well, without sector comms, and alliances, this game would have definitely, I've said it many times before, would have actually been in the bin a long time ago. There's one thing they've capitalized on and they've kept going well, is the sector comms concept and alliance comms. Without that, this game would have died a long time back.
You're so right.
If you couldn't PM somebody else either, like I've just hit your base, up yours, matey, I've just wiped you out, and then the banter that goes to and fro, and then we post it on various pages because we all think we're heroes. Then if that wasn't there, it was just like, oh, I've won that and I've won some medals. I can't tell anybody. What am I going to do now? Well, I'm bored. So ego is what keeps the game alive, as I've said many times before. Venom, what about you, mate?
They keep telling us they want to fix the game before helping the lures. At this point, you're probably just better off, say, opening 600 sector, putting a load of people in it and saying, have at it. There's a load of, or a bit like the testing, just have a load of people in one area and run the game as normal. Check just how they're doing, what's going on there. Keep a very careful eye on it. And actually have developers and stuff like that in playing with the players. Say just copy a couple of their bases and let the actual testers within Kicksai's departments have a go with the players and see just how the game is performing, because clearly they have no idea what's going on. It's very clear they don't know what's going on.
I wonder how many people that actually work at Kicksai actually play the game now. Properly play the game.
Very, very few.
I don't know there are many bases out there that are actually owned and owner operators, as we used to call them.
Well, we can go back to when they say that, the Manticore fleet will perform exceptionally. If their idea of exceptionally, you can go back to the video a few years back that Doom Rooster did, doing three repairs to say, see how this target can be done.
Yeah, that was a little bit like the what was the raid video that we did? And they went and used this fleet. Yeah, use this fleet and that sort of stuff, and it's like one of the worst examples of how to use the fleet going. It was
how about this Rampage? For instead of doing a Rampage report, he gets a pre-built base with all the nice shiny toys, a limited amount of coin, and let him at it and see how well he does. Just put him on the map somewhere, let him loose, see what he can do, and see what his feedback is on the game then.
Yeah, I'd be intrigued as well. I'd be intrigued.
Let's randomly just have an event with the devs, have them have bases, and have a little war between ourselves, see what happens.
I don't know if they're getting paid to play. I'm not sure they're allowed to do that anymore. I'm not sure. Anyway,
they need to get. They really need to get in touch with
their what's
going in the game. So if it helps, sure, let them be paid to play for once.
Oh dear. Open forum having a go in the test server. That's been missing for a couple of years. Just to sit back and watch what people actually do, which would be quite good. But they could do that themselves if they went into a busy sector and just saw what a couple of busy alliances actually do get up to, day to day. It'd be quite interesting. They'd have to actually log into the game properly to do that. So Right. Okay. I think we'll call it a night there. That's an hour and a half. It's been heated in places. Okay, but then again, it's bound to be because the very nature of the game. It's battle pirates. It's going to be smooth sailing sometimes, and then choppy waters others. And we're somewhere in the middle of the Bermuda Triangle at the moment. We've got a unknown entity, which is going to be the Greta flag for the our FM fleet. And we're not quite sure what's going to happen to countermeasures, on our Manticores, because the transition has happened right in the middle between one FM change, one bounty set, and obviously this next raid series. So
I don't know what's going to happen with them either. So
I don't think anybody does. So I think it's going to be intriguing. There could be pitchforks at midnight again. So we'll find out. So next week we should get the. Hopefully it'll happen on Tuesday. If so, we'll do the show on Tuesday night. We should get the raid information out, which will be interesting. We'll see what the cost of the Greta is. We'll be able to see the blueprint and that sort of stuff, and we'll have a little look at it, and then we'll know whether it's better to keep the KD or not the Cody or not. Unless they block it out the target, which will probably infuriate everybody, to be honest.
I'm calling it now. Greta's going to be 60 million.
Yeah, Greta is going to be the death of the. That flagship. I don't know. We'll see.
Kodiak.
The Cody, yeah. But what's...
Oh. Do we lose him again?
Oh, can't
He
have
timed
shot.
happens to the points value? So... Again?
Hello?
You're sort of here.
You are cutting out something fierce. And
All right.
now.
It's time to go. Okay.
Night,
I'll say good
everybody.
night.
Right on.
Take care.
Later, people.